Biafrans deserve to be heard fairly in the global conversation. Everyone that is watching, wherever you are watching, throughout history, every major political struggle has had two battles. The first battle is the physical one. The second battle is the battle of information. The physical battle and the battle of information. These are the two major battles we are facing today in the Biafran struggle. And we want to speak about these battles. More especially the battle of information. In many cases, information is even more powerful than physical force because information shapes public opinion, influences governments, determines international responses, and affects how future generations understand events. That is why information is even more powerful than physical force. When people control the narrative, they influence how often interpret reality. Those who control the narrative influence how others interpret reality. That is why information is very important, and we must not look away. When people lose control of their narrative, others define them. This is why today's discussion is important. We must understand that every movement, every political cause, every campaign for rights, justice, recognition, or self-determination inevitably faces scrutiny. It faces criticism, support, opposition, and competing narratives. These are the challenges we are facing today in this very struggle. Why we must pay attention to this topic. Listen closely. Don't miss a single part of this message. The question is not whether narrative exists. That is not the question. The question is who is telling the story. That is the major question. Who is telling the story? Just like when we were shouting about the narrative that was being created by the BBC through their fake and false narrative of Biafran War. A story where they omitted the most important issues in the Biafran War. They omitted the most important cause of that war. And they omitted the major actors on that war. And they generalized and painted the Biafrans as the aggressors. And they belittled the suffering of the Biafrans. That's an example. So the question is, who is telling the story? You see why information is very important. Who is framing the discussion? Who is framing the discussion? Who is influencing public opinion? Who is shaping international understanding? These are the questions we must examine today. Now you understand why we came hard on the BBC and continue to demand for them to pull down that very documentary, because that documentary does not represent what transpired in Biafran War. It does not represent it, not even one bit. Not in any way. My friends, one of the oldest strategies in politics is the struggle to win the heart and mind of the public. The struggle to win the mind and heart of the public is one of the oldest strategies in politics. How to win the mind and heart of people. Government engage in it. Political organizations engage in it. The battle of mind and hearts of people. Advocacy groups engage in it. Media institution engage in it. Media institution engage in it. International actors engage in that battle of heart and mind to win mind and hearts. Everyone understands that perception. That perception matters. We all understand that. If you don't understand that perception matters, it means you are not serious and you don't know what you are up against as a Biafran activist. As someone who genuinely, sincerely is pursuing self-determination, if you do not understand that perception matters, you need to go back to the classroom. Go back to the classroom and prepare yourself. This is why information campaigns have become one of the most powerful tools in modern politics. Information. I am telling you how important information is so that you can know how to use the platform that you are controlling. We have a lot of work in our hands. Those of us that are managing platforms, many of us have deviated, become a platform for praise singing, a platform for saga, a platform for attacks, a platform for unnecessary jesting. Many people believe that public opinion is shaped only by facts. That is what many people believe. People believe that public opinion is shaped only by facts. Unfortunately, reality is more complicated. Some of us think it's only by fact, that when you present facts, that is how public opinion is shaped. It is not true. It is not true. Unfortunately, reality is more complicated. Public opinion is often influenced by which facts are highlighted, which facts are ignored, which voices are amplified, and which voices are marginalized. I hope you got it. It is not just about the facts. It is not just about who is telling the truth. Public opinion is not shaped by the truth. In fact, the public can hardly find the truth. Because the public opinion is shaped by the fact that is highlighted more. If it is the lie that is highlighted more, that people hear often over and over again, that is going to shape their opinion. If the truth is ignored and a different picture is painted, that different picture is what the public is going to follow. Any voice that is being amplified, any voice that you hear often over and over and over again, it doesn't matter what is coming out of that voice, the public will seem to fall in love with that voice and follow what that voice says, even though that is not the truth. When voices are marginalized, the public opinion goes with the voices that have been amplified. This is why the presence of Biafran people on the media need to be more disciplined, and we need to do more. Need to be more focused. Spend your time wisely while you are online. That is why critical thinking is essential. That is why media literacy is essential. Media literacy is essential. There are so many of us in media today that we know nothing about media. We know nothing about information. So many of us in the media. Many people that control even big platforms. There are people that control big platforms that have big audience, but yet they know nothing about the media. Media literacy is essential. If you must make impact in this journey of restoration of Biafra, you must have media literacy. That is why every community must learn how to communicate effectively. You must learn how to communicate effectively. It is very important. Wonderful people, wherever you are watching me from. Throughout history, minority groups, indigenous communities, political movements, and self-determination campaigns have often complained that their perspective were misunderstood, misrepresented, or overlooked. This is not unique to one part of the world. It is not just us as Biafrans, as we have what you're facing today. It is not just unique to us. People who were there before us face the same problem. People who fought their freedom before us face it. Our own is even much better. Like as you can see, during the Civil War, Nigeria government were completely in charge of the media. There was no information going out from Biafra land. Nigeria had the BBC, have all the media network. We are blowing the trumpet for them. Biafran voice we are not heard anywhere. History teaches us that communities seeking recognition often face the challenge of ensuring that their own voice are heard rather than having others speak on their behalf. That's the same challenges we are facing today. People are forcing themselves to tell our stories. People are telling our stories with their big platforms. And when they paint that picture, the picture they paint is what people run with. The perspective they create, the narrative they create is what people run with. Meanwhile, we that have the original stories, we are silenced and marginalized. The lesson here is simple. If you want your story understood, if we want our story to be understood, we must be prepared to tell it clearly. If we want our story to be understood, we must be prepared to tell it clearly, consistently, peacefully, and effectively. That is why each time I come, I always advocate for unity, almost in all my program. Talk about consistency, peaceful advocacy, and etc. If we want our story to be understood, those of us that have the opportunity to be online, whether you are watching me here now, you after listening, you go to other platform, you want to speak, this advice is going to help you to pass the message also and direct others on what to do. We must be prepared to tell our story clearly, consistently, peacefully, and effectively. We cannot just assume that others will automatically understand our perspectives. You know, sometimes we use that phrase that everybody has known about Biafra. Who will say he didn't know about Biafra? Everybody knows our suffering. Who will say he didn't know about it? Many of us use that phrase, but I bet you we need to do more. You cannot assume that others will automatically understand your perspectives. Just like I always say that only the Biafrans understand what they are going through. More especially an Igbo man. Only an Igbo man understands what what it feels like to be an Igbo man in Nigeria. You will not understand. Nobody can explain it better except an Igbo man, an Igbo person. Only an Igbo person can explain how difficult it is to be an Igbo person in Nigeria. How difficult it is to survive as an Igbo person in Nigeria. And the treatment. You cannot assume that the facts speaks for themselves. That is the mistake some of us make sometimes. We say the facts are there. Though they are there, we don't just assume that the facts speak for themselves. We need to revisit it over and over again, talk about it, speak about it, and continue to highlight it at every given opportunity that we have. Facts requires communication. Facts require communication. Evidence requires presentation. You don't just say that the evidence is there. You need to present it. You don't just say evidence is there. Oh, the facts are there. You need to present it to the world. And so many of us have been doing that job, and we must continue to do that. Present the facts and evidence to the international communities, to people of the world, at any given opportunity, whenever you have the time. Present your case to the world. Evidence requires presentation. Argument requires explanation. At any given point in time, when you have the opportunity to explain, please do so. Explain the situation to the world, explain the situation to the international community, or anyone that comes across you individually, in your various places of work, countries of living. Explain your argument so that people can understand. Don't just assume that they understood. Stories require storytellers. We need more people to tell our stories. And it is our people that will tell our stories. We need to tell our stories. Continue telling the stories. Repeat it over and over and over again. There's no number of times that is too much for you to tell the stories. And that is where the information battle begins. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest challenges facing any movement is the spread of misinformation. You know, I've talked so much about misinformation. I've spoken so much about it lately. Misinformation. That is the greatest cancer that we are facing today. Misinformation by the Nigerian government and misinformation by some Nigerian from Biafran agitators. There are so many misinformations that are created by people that claim to be Biafran agitators. In fact, I'm not even scared about the misinformation of the Nigerian government because we will always face them head on. But the misinformation that is coming from those you expect to bring the right information, that is where the disturbing issues lies. Many people in agitation today are pushing misinformation. Some of them are representing what does not exist. They misrepresent something that doesn't exist. They will bring out a story that is factual. You can go to Google, you Google it, that is actually the story that is in the Google, how it is, the facts. But compare it with the reality on the ground. Is that what is happening? There is no resemblance. There's no resemblance. All you intend to do is to misinform people, confuse them. For those who cannot be able to make research and get facts for themselves, and that have dealt a very big blow with the struggle. That is the misinformation that worries me. It's not about the misinformation of the Zoological Republic. We can deal with that. But what about the misinformation among us? Among us, some of us who claim they are in this agitation, so many of them are not even informed about what we are doing. Yet they are in the media. There are so many people in the media, yet they don't have a clue of what the restoration of Biafra is all about and how far it has gone, or where the pillar lies, the directions, or the plan on the ground. They don't know, yet they are on the media. So many content creators who are creating Biafran content, but yet, when you look at their content, it's full of misinformation. Sometimes they create content just to make you happy, just to make you feel comfortable where you are, even when you are not supposed to be comfortable. How can you be comfortable in a strange land? But they create content to make you feel comfortable and make you feel that all is well, even when there is a great danger facing everyone, danger of extinction. Yet, they prefer to tell you what will make you happy. Misinformation. Misinformation can emerge from misunderstanding. Misinformation can equally emerge from misunderstanding, because many people read today, but yet they don't understand what they read. Many people listen, and yet they don't understand what they listen to. And those they ask questions have no answers to give. And at the end of the day, they run with misinformation because of the misunderstanding. And then the rest is history. Misinformation can emerge from bias. There are some people who are biased because they want to score a point, because they want to feel relevant, because they want to satisfy a certain group or a certain person. They pass misinformation. Misinformation can also emerge from political interest. It can emerge from social media amplification. We have seen it very much in the Biafran question. However, whatever the source may be, misinformation creates confusion. And confusion creates division. Now you can understand why we have so many confusion and so many division. And even some people are denying this fact, this obvious fact, just to make themselves feel relevant. Division weakens public understanding. This is why responsible communication matters. When false claims are made, then they should be challenged with evidence. When someone makes a false claim, come out, challenge it with evidence. When inaccuracies appear, they should be corrected with facts. When misconceptions spread, they should be addressed through education. You that is watching out there, this is why I ask you not to be a sheepish follower. Even in my platform, feel free to ask questions. Don't just be a listener. Be an active participant. Wherever you are not carried along clearly, you ask questions and it should be explained. When misconceptions spread, they should be addressed through education, not anger. Not when someone asks you a question, you get angry, you insult, you abuse. No. Not through hostility. So many of us are so hostile. And that is how you know those that pass misinformation. When you correct them, they get angry. When you call their attention, they get angry. Even when they are empty, know nothing, have nothing to offer. The next thing is that they abuse you. They go by abuse. But the best thing is to present your facts. When somebody presents a superior argument, you bring your facts and figures. You challenge him with facts. Because facts are powerful. Facts endure. Facts travel further than emotion when they are consistently presented. When you have your fact, consistently continue to present your fact over and over and over again. My wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom across the world, the digital age has changed everything. Everything has changed. Years ago, a few major institutions controlled information. Like during the Civil War, information was controlled only by the Nigerian media, the BBC and co, the Voice of America. But in the present time, no conventional media controls information. The social media is the leading controller of information and building of opinions today. The digital age has changed everything. Every individual with a smartphone can become a publisher. Every social media account can reach thousands of people. Even as we hear, very few of us in this platform watching. You don't know how far we can get to. Every social media account can reach thousands of people. Every live stream can reach audience across continents. Every video can influence public opinion.